Yo. Logging in. Thanks for logging in. It's the Mr. Show. And this one is a very serious one. We're going over the For My Man series. You don't know. People in life, I'm telling you, just because you come from a two-parent home, the so-called nuclear family, doesn't mean you're going to turn out perfect like you're supposed to. I mean, look at it. You have like Ian Bradley and Myra Hindley, Dimitri and Natalia Sasheshki or whatever. You have David and Catherine Burney. You have the ever famous Bonnie and Clyde. What?
She was more like a beauty queen
with an M16. You also have, back in my days, back in the 87 to 1990 days, you had the ever famous in Toronto, Canada, Paul Bernardo, and I believe it's Carla Homolka. People, this video is going to be covering something along the lines of Bonnie and Clyde. This is Desiree and Mr. Charles Camp. She's 26 years old. He's 48. But you see her? You know what she was like?
She was more like a beauty queen with an M16.
So we're going to cover it from the top. Let's get into it. It's the Mr. Show. Let's see the terrible deeds that Shorty did or did not do, allegedly or charged for. Let's get into it. It's the Mr. Show. Bonnie and Clyde? No. This is Desiree and Charles, bro.
And wishes they had in real chance at happiness with an older man. Desiree grows up in Grand Prairie, Texas, in the perfect home life, with the kind of parents every kid sees on TV and wishes they had in real life.
Whether it was navigating through school, life, teen years, or whatever, she had her parents there for her, giving her support.
Her parents were attentive. Her parents cared about her. Her parents loved her.
Even after, at the age of 14, Desiree gives birth to her first child, and she doesn't know who the father is.
She began associating with young men that...
Yo, I don't know if it's mental health, but everything was set up for this girl to succeed. But it looked like she just got caught up in a sucking seed. Desiree, pull up again. Desiree, you made me have to say that, yo. I'm not going to say anything for the rest of the show. Just listen very keenly. But Desiree, you had it all set up for yourself to succeed. But instead, you're going to succeed. Let's go.
Whether it was navigating through school, life, teen years, or whatever, she had her parents there for her, giving her support.
Her parents were attentive. Her parents cared about her. Her parents loved her.
Even after, at the age of 14, Desiree gives birth to her first child, and she doesn't know who the father is.
She began associating with young men that perhaps weren't doing what they should have done. And she liked the bad boys. She liked the excitement of it.
Sometimes, influences get the best of people. No matter how hard parents try, children can go the wrong way, make mistakes. That's what childhood is for.
With her parents willing to take on some of the responsibilities that come with being a teen mom, Desiree graduates high school, but bounces from one dead-end job to the next. At the age of 23, after another failed relationship, she gives birth to her second child.
She was pregnant again, and once again, she was left without a father for her children. And frustrating for her, but luckily for her, she had her parents to help her.
Too much support and too much permissiveness might have the opposite
effect. Exactly. Too much support and too much permissiveness might have the negative effect. Look how Shorty had everything lined up for her. But like I said, she wanted to succeed instead of sucking seed, so. Right? Was that right? No. She wanted to succeed instead of to succeed.
intent. And for someone like Desiree, instead of using it as a springboard towards success and achievement, instead it pushed her more towards complacency.
For a single mother with 2 children to support, A life means a job. That's when a family member mentions an opening for a receptionist at the local welfare office.
It was her mom who introduced her to the possibility of working at the welfare office, and it was a job that her parents could be proud of.
Desiree takes to her job immediately and becomes a welcoming sight to those in need.
Hi, how are you? Seeing her smiling could make all the difference in the world for them, and I think she realized that.
But after a few months on the job, Desiree's smile hides her feelings of boredom. Until the day her routine is broken up by the arrival of 48-year-old Charles Camp, a man down on his luck.
This sign right here. He was handsome, charismatic.
Man, these are those beautiful ashes smell nice too.
Charming, confident. He's just having a bump in the road right now.
Desiree is intrigued by the much older, smooth-talking Romeo, whose surface appeal hides a violent and criminal past.
He had a significant number of arrests and convictions for theft, firearms violations, burglary, and aggravated robbery.
Miss Desiree?
Yes.
And after his most recent prison stint, the Kansas native has relocated to Grand Prairie in search of a fresh start.
He was living with his sister. He had family here. So if he was seeking to leave the Kansas area, this would be a natural place to go.
But once he meets Desiree, instead of a fresh start, he'll find a partner in crime.
She was pumping him up as her Clyde, and he was pumping her up as his Bonnie.
Kick it.
In Grand Prairie, Texas, 26-year-old Desiree Satterwhite is drawn to handsome stranger, 48-year-old Charles Camp, a man who, unbeknownst to her, has a violent criminal past.
Charles was a career criminal. He committed a string of crimes. He had been in and out of jail all his life.
Desiree came from a very good home.
Like, I was just gonna wonder, this girl comes from a good home and she keeps on fighting herself. She was 23 years old, had one kid, had no idea where the father was. Now she's 26, has another kid, not with him. Then she meets this criminal. Like, where are the dudes in her life? Does she bring these men home? She should start bringing the men home to meet daddy and any cousins and brothers and stuff, because clearly she's making horrible, terrible decisions.
She had a very loving father. So to meet someone like Charles, who's an older man, she sees the best in him right away. She becomes like putty in his hands.
Okay, so then she did introduce it to the parents.
Miss Desiree?
Yes.
Several visits later, Charles starts looking forward to more than just his welfare checks.
Okay.
Charles knew what he wanted, and he saw it in Desiree. And so he started courting her at work. And he was persistent, and that was flattering to her. What are you doing here?
Just a few weeks in, the two begin a passionate affair, spending almost all of their time together at his sister's house where he's staying. After seeing Charles for almost a week, Desiree brings him home to meet her parents. The meeting doesn't go as well as she hopes.
Okay. Hold it. So Desiree does have some privacy and some manners. She brought Charles, this violent criminal. And let's see how the parents assess Mr. Camp.
And her mom, dad didn't understand and did not welcome Charles's intrusion in her life.
48.
Was enough to give them pause and threw up a bunch of red flags for them.
Desiree's parents really don't like Charles. They see him as a predator.
Okay, so the parents do not like him. They see him as, you heard the word right there, right? So does Desiree listen? Does Desiree listen?
After all, he comes from their generation. He's got a lot more experience than she does, and they know that she's really naive to the ways of the world.
Over the next month, Desiree spends more and more time with Charles, and less time at home.
She still had contact with her children, but they primarily lived with their grandparents during that period, but mostly she stayed with Charles and she avoided her parents.
It had to be disheartening for Desiree's mom and dad because here she was so easily swayed and just running off and literally forgetting her children.
Desiree had children when she was very young. In fact, when she was just a child herself. Desiree never had that freedom that comes with being a youngster, being a teenager. Now she has that with Charles. But she did have parents who tried to keep her on the right path, the path of responsibility.
All seems well for the couple, until cutbacks at the welfare office force Desiree out of work.
We're having cutbacks and you have to let you go, I'm sorry.
All of a sudden, she lost her job. They no longer needed her services.
You have to let me go.
And here she looks at Charles. What are we going to do?
I lost my job.
Desiree's uncertainty is compounded by the fact that Charles has not been able to find employment because of his criminal record.
Charles, like so many others who are released from prison, oftentimes find themselves, they're going out searching for jobs. And on the application, it asks that question, and that question is one that a lot of employers shy away from, and they will turn you away. And he was turned away.
When Desiree's parents learn of their daughter's plight, they try to intervene.
They're telling her, come home, get your life together, we'll help you. And that's not what Desiree wanted. Desiree, if it were a choice choosing between Charles and the comfort of her parents' home, she would rather be with Charles.
Madly in love and not wanting to be a burden on either of their families any longer, the two take up residence in Desiree's car until they can figure something out.
Living in a car, very uncomfortable, and it starts not only to wear on them individually, but wear on them as a couple.
2 nights later, Charles tells Desiree he thinks he has a solution.
Some cash, okay?
They've got to eat. They got to figure out a way to make some money, and it had to be pretty quick.
He revealed information about the robberies, his past.
I doubt that he told her about how lengthy his history was. I don't think he was ever truly honest with her.
Charles portrays himself to Desiree as a total victim of injustice, of society. Sort of like a Robin Hood type who robs from the rich and gives to the poor, but all in all doesn't really want to be involved in illegal activities, but has no choice. He's got to survive. And Desiree loves this man, is enthralled by him, and trusts him.
Somebody call 911.
Charles tells Desiree how he went about robbing small businesses, and how it'd be a lot less dangerous to pull one off now if he had someone to scout the place out prior to him going in.
Me? You want me to help you?
He's pulling on her hard to get her to say, okay, I'm going to come in with you.
And so perhaps she's willing to do what she has to do in order for him to successfully get through a robbery.
With Desiree on board, there's only one more thing Charles needs: a gun. And she tells him she knows where they can get one.
Desiree started injecting her thoughts and her ideas on how they could make this life of crime work, if you will.
The next day, Desiree and Charles make a surprise visit to her parents' house.
So she knew her mother had a gun, and she volunteered her mom's gun to be used as they committed their crimes.
Desiree had only brought Charles to her parents' house 3 times. The last time she brought him over there, he stole the gun.
Desiree and Charles think they found the solution to their problems, but they'll soon find out.
Kind of slow today.
If you play with fire, you're going to get burned.
She had family and children and everything in the world to live for. And she disregarded that for, easy money.
She put everything on the line for him.
26-year-old Desiree Satterwhite and her boyfriend, 48-year-old ex-convict Charles Camp, are homeless, jobless, and living in their car in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's when her man tells her he knows how to get some quick cash by hitting small shops.
I absolutely think that there was an attraction to that lifestyle. I think she perceived it as being romantic. She perceived it as being exciting. I think Desiree, in her heart of hearts, was a risk taker. And I think she had a good time with this. And I think that she perceived Charles as being powerful.
Later that afternoon, the duo makes their debut score.
The first location that they went to, that we have evidence of, was a sandwich shop in the city of Fort Worth on Maurice Avenue. It was located in a strip mall.
Desiree goes in and stakes the place out.
It's kind of slow today.
Talk to the clerk, maybe look around, come back out, tell them how many people were inside.
She's seen that no one's here, there are no customers. And so, he goes into the store, and while he doesn't fire the firearm, he does brandish it and demand all the money.
For 20 minutes till I'm long gone.
The clerk hands over the cash and the robbery goes off without a hitch. Desiree and Charles flee with their take, a little over $100. It's barely enough to get them a hotel room for the night.
They weren't living high on the hog at all. They had enough money at the end of the day to get a room and some food and gas.
You would think that maybe they went out and partied and had a good time, and actually they took care of business. They wanted to eat, and they paid the car insurance. It was their home. They needed to have it secured, but that money was gone. It wasn't much, so it was gone quickly, and they needed to come up with more, and there you start hatching the plans for more robberies, more victims.
A fantasy the two turn into a reality in and around the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area several more times.
Desiree had an opportunity to make the right decision. She could have gone home to her parents and to her children in a normal life. But instead, she decided to stay there and abet that particular situation. Most likely because it was for her love for Charles, and just as important, the fact that this was so exciting. It brought a new meaning to her life.
As usual, their spoils are only enough for essentials and an occasional hotel room.
And this is the big payoff. This is a reward for all the work that they've done, all the crimes that they've committed thus far, just to be able to sleep in a bed.
Over the next 6 days, Charles and Desiree keep their heists going.
They were spacing them out geographically as they committed more offenses. I'm not positive even that we know all of the offenses they committed.
I think Desiree and Charles believed as long as they kept going to different jurisdictions and doing robberies in different cities, that they could keep hopscotching their way across Texas, and that way they could roam around.
And the more places they rob, the more it becomes equal part necessity and equal part thrill.
You got the idea that they felt invincible and that they were feeding off of one another's energy. Desiree saw this man as her knight in shining armor, and she was his ride or die chick.
Desiree and Charles are caught up in their own world, in their own fantasy, in their own reality. For them, it's day-to-day, robbery by robbery.
Then 11 days into their spree, Desiree and Charles are so desperate for cash, they return to the scene of their first crime, to rob another store a few doors down.
And that turned out to be a mistake for them. It put them in a location where people could compare notes and identify them.
In addition, the new location is also a lot more high-tech than the first one.
That store had a beautiful video surveillance system. So when they left the store, we had wonderful video footage of their faces and Desiree's car.
Desiree and Charles don't know it, but their images have made their way across all the local jurisdictions, and a manhunt ensues.
The police were working together once they determined that there was a pattern here.
And when Desiree and Charles try their luck in Dallas, their luck will finally run out.
29 to dispatch.
When they were stopped by the police, the firearm that was used to commit the offenses was in the car.
She and Charles were in this together. They quickly reached a point of no return.
In Grand Prairie, Texas, Desiree Satterwhite has been enlisted into a life of crime by her ex-con boyfriend, Charles Kent. The two are suspected of the armed robberies of 8 businesses in just 11 days. And police from 4 jurisdictions are hot on their heels.
You got the idea that they felt invincible and that they were feeding off of one another's energy. She was supporting him and lifting him up.
A Be on the Lookout is issued, featuring pictures and detailed descriptions of Charles, Desiree, and Desiree's car.
Desiree and Charles were oblivious to the fact that police were putting the pieces together and they were ready to pounce, really, at that point. It was only a matter of time.
So far, they've been able to skirt the law, but one crisp morning 18 miles down the road in Dallas, their luck runs out.
A police officer observed them scoping out businesses in Dallas and saw the vehicle and saw the individuals in the vehicle and realized they were identical to the description that had been given.
As officers move in, Desiree and Charles's gun is in plain sight.
It was right there in the car and was within arm's reach of both defendants when they were stopped. It is very lucky for those police officers that they didn't decide to run or to shoot.
Desiree and Charles are arrested without incident and taken into custody. Under the interrogation spotlight, Desiree covers her own skin.
Initially, she denied responsibility. Then she minimized the situation significantly. For example, she told the police that she'd only known Charles for 2 to 3 weeks, when in fact she'd known him for longer than that.
When investigators tell her she's facing felony charges, Desiree's flabbergasted.
She hasn't done anything illegal as far as she's concerned. She's just kind of been a passenger along on a joyride.
Because she was thinking she did not have any firearms, she did not threaten anyone. All she did was go in and case the place and drive away.
This is what Desiree may have been thinking all along. I'm not the one with the gun. I'm not the one demanding the money. I'm not the one committing the crime. But the fact of the matter is, she was involved in a crime.
Eventually, she started conceding that she had done things that made her a party to the offense, but she attempted to suggest that she didn't know what was going on. When that didn't work, then she tried to suggest that Charles had coerced her or forced her in some fashion. After a period of time, she did concede that she had assisted in the commission of the robberies, and she described her own conduct.
But Charles is not as uncaring toward his love of 1 month. Knowing Desiree has her whole life ahead of her and children to take care of, he falls on his sword for her and tries to absolve her of any involvement.
Charles painted a picture of Desiree as not being culpable. He made her seem like she was innocent and it was all him.
Charles constantly tried to convince us that she was not involved and that she had no responsibility for it.
But despite Charles's best efforts, prosecutors charged Desiree with the same charge as him. 3 counts of aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon.
Desiree was very much an active part in the commission of this crime. The car was hers, and all the evidence points to the fact that she was the one driving. Then she would go in and make sure that the times were right for an aggravated robbery.
It's showtime.
Prosecutors offer Desiree a deal, a 16-year sentence if she pleads guilty.
Wow.
She rejects it.
I think that she thought, because of her lack of criminal history, and that she was young and pretty and not very threatening appearing, I think she thought that she could kind of get away with it.
Her parents are crushed. They want Desiree to accept this deal. They want Desiree to be part of their lives and to have a normal life.
Yo. So she was offered 16 years. I mean, that's not an easy pill to swallow altogether, yo. Would you take it? Would you have said, okay, I'll take 16 years? Because in her heart, she doesn't believe that she did anything wrong. Not worth 16 years worth of wrong, at least. So she's like, no way. She wants full exoneration. Would you have taken, after watching the story, right? Would you have taken the 16 years plea deal, knowing that they're going for life or like 50 years or whatever? What would you have done? Let's see what Desiree did.
But once again, she turns her back on them.
Okay.
Desiree goes on trial a few months later. After an 8-day trial, the jury takes less than 20 minutes to find Desiree guilty on 3 counts of aggravated armed robbery.
Yeah. You have to laugh at them, yo. Desiree, you deserve that. They offered you 16 years when you actually did those crimes. But you got a little bit cocky there, not knowing that the system is not for you, my dear. It's against you. It's against you. It's against you.
She is sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Ouch. Ouch.
Charles, on the other hand, his long record played against him in a big way. He was sentenced to life in prison. He's never going to stay outside of a prison wall during his life.
Charles' past came back to haunt him.
Wow.
And now he's paying the price. Desiree may not have had a past like Charles, but now she's paying the price by not having a future.
Desiree has a lot.
It looks like the actual photo. Little browning. Nice hair or whatever. Thought that she's just going to get away on some of her looks and being naive to the law. You understand? Ignorance is bliss, and then it becomes a sin.
Of lessons to learn, but they're not going to come immediately for her. She's missing a lot of time in her children's lives and her parents. 40 years, her parents could be gone by the time she gets out. And then her and Charles will never be together again.
Never.
Desiree.
So like the whole point.
You sound like a pussy one.
Yeah, the whole point doesn't make any sense.
Parents who cared about her. She had a good support system. Didn't have to be this way for her.
Desiree's children are currently being raised by the parents. By the time she's first eligible for parole, she'll be 47 years old. Why, Desiree? Why? Why? You had everything ahead of you. You had everything ahead of you, Desiree. You didn't need to go down that road. True story. When I was in high school in Toronto, Canada, the police used to come to the school at West Hill Collegiate, and they'd pretty much be asking, and they actually took somebody out of the school because they looked like Paul Bernardo. Because it was during the time I was going to high school that all these girls were going missing, and Paul Bernardo and that chick Carla Homolka was the worst thing ever happened to Canada. She lured her sister, bro, and made Paul Bernardo do what he wanted to do, bro. And she's just as guilty as far as I'm concerned. So the Bonnie and Clydes, all these crazy couples with mental illness, trauma, what's it called? Trauma bonding. That's crazy. Thanks for logging in to the Mr. Show. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and hit the notification bell. These girls, they look like a beauty queen, but you know what happened to them, Shinehead? Talk to them, Shinehead.
She was more like a beauty queen with an MC